Imagine being trapped in a blazing inferno. What you thought was an exit quickly became blocked by bodies crushed in the stampede. Will Sarah and Emily survive? Welcome to the Spine Thrills channel, where your nightmares come true. Sarah had always been a fan of live music. The beat of the drums, the strumming of the guitars, and the thrill of a crowd singing along it was the closest thing to magic she knew. When she heard that Mondo Color, a semi-known local band, was playing at the Depot nightclub, a popular club in her small town, she couldn't resist buying tickets. "Hey, Sarah, ready for tonight?" Her friend Emily texted her. "You bet. It's been a stressful week at work, and I need to unwind," Sarah replied. Sarah wore her favorite black t-shirt, adorned with the logo of another band she loved, and her well-worn jeans. The Depot nightclub was buzzing with excitement when she and Emily arrived. The dark room filled with people, a dim glow emanating from the stage lights and the scent of a fog machine cutting through the air. Adding to the excitement was that it appeared that there weren't many people aware that the band would be playing at this location. So there seemed to be only 200 or 300 people in the club to hear them play. What a special treat it seemed. The atmosphere was electric as Mondo Color began their opening song. The crowd was one organism, moving in synchrony to the beat. But then, something was off. The heat. Sarah felt a warmth on her face that wasn't just the heat of the moment. It was a searing, unnatural heat. Fireworks had always been part of the show for the band, but tonight they felt overpowering, as if they'd been turned up to an unbearable intensity. Glancing upward, Sarah's eyes widened in horror. The ceiling was ablaze, flames licking the foam insulation, greedily consuming everything in its path. Plumes of fire from the fireworks had ignited the foam insulation on the ceiling. In a matter of seconds, the fire spread like a beast unleashed, its fiery tentacles reaching out for anything flammable. A dark plume of smoke unfurled, filling the room with a suffocating thickness. Panic erupted as screams overtook the music. People were pushing, shoving, their faces masks of fear and desperation. The exits were rapidly becoming unreachable, bottlenecks of chaos. The room filled with thick, black smoke so quickly it was disorienting. The acrid smell stung the girls' nostrils and burned their eyes. Panic erupted. People screamed, their voices tinged with a terror that drowned out even the loudest guitar riffs. The crowd, once harmonious, turned into a stampede. Bodies shoved against her from all sides as people pushed, clawed, and fought their way towards the exits. The air grew hot and heavy, and each breath became a laborious gasp. "Emily, we need to go. Now!" Sarah screamed, her voice barely rising above the cacophony of fear and confusion. Her eyes met Emily's, wide and filled with the horrifying realization of their situation. Grabbing Emily's hand with a vice-like grip, Sarah began to navigate through the chaos. Each step felt like an eternity, their movements hampered by the disoriented crowd. Sarah's eyes stung with smoke and tears. Her lungs screamed for fresh air, but the side door seemed miles away. People filled the gap between them and the exit door, and they weren't moving any closer to the door. Sarah and Emily could hear the fire behind them, beginning to roar like a freight train coming right at them, as the club itself seemed to become a blazing inferno. Emily turned to Sarah with a feeling of despair and said, "Sarah, they aren't moving. I think we are stuck in here." Then, through the smoky haze, Sarah saw a glimmer of hope. One of the band members, realizing the futility of reaching the doors, used his guitar and began to smash a high window back near the stage. Glass shattered, scattering shards that twinkled ominously in the fiery glow. The band member, his own face etched with terror and urgency, started to lift people up and out of the now broken window. Summoning every last ounce of strength, Sarah and Emily fought their way to the window. When they reached it, strong arms lifted them up and through the jagged opening. They tumbled to the outside of the club, gasping into the cool night air, their lungs filling with the sweet relief of oxygen, but their hearts heavy with the weight of what they'd just experienced. Seconds later, as the girls started to move away from the building, the fire engulfed the building in such a way that there weren't any more people getting out. In less than 5 minutes, the Depot nightclub was nothing more than an inferno. Years later, Sarah sat in her living room, her eyes tracing the words of an article commemorating the anniversary of the tragedy at the Depot nightclub, a fictional account, however inspired by an all-too-real event. The actual event, known as the Station Nightclub Fire in West Warwick, Rhode Island, was a disaster that had left an indelible scar on countless lives. The article listed the names of the victims, and with each name she read, Sarah felt a pang in her heart, as if a string connected her to every soul lost that night. A picture of a memorial service for the real-life victims filled the screen, candles illuminating faces, frozen in grief, sorrow, and remembrance. For each life lost in such tragedies, both real and fictional, there were families shattered, dreams unfulfilled, songs left unsung. Sarah closed her laptop and glanced at the guitar propped up in the corner of the room, a recent addition to her life. She had taken up guitar lessons as a form of therapy, a way to connect with something joyful and creative, but also as a tribute to the band members and fans, in both reality and fiction, who found solace and expression through music. She thought about the band member who had used his guitar as a lifeline in the fictional account, and how, in the real event, one band member had also tragically lost his life. Heroes emerge in the unlikeliest of circumstances, sometimes paying the ultimate price for their courage. Sarah got up and walked to her window, staring out into the quiet night. She couldn't change the past, neither the real nor the imagined, but she could shape the future. She could advocate for stricter safety regulations at large venues, volunteer at community outreach programs, or simply be there for someone in need, a listening ear, a shoulder to lean on. As she looked up at the stars that night, she thought about all the individuals, real and fictional, whose lights had been extinguished too soon. And in that moment, she made a silent promise to live her life in a way that would honor those who could not, and to be a beacon of hope and compassion in a world that so desperately needs it. Fire at the Station nightclub became a roaring inferno in less than 5 minutes, and 100 people perished that night, affecting the lives of countless family and friends they knew, along with the many survivors whose lives were forever changed. This video is homage to those people who were affected in the real story. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have a true story that is scary, creepy, or horrifying, which is well written, and you would like me to share, send the story to spinethrills@gmail.com.